안녕하세요. 소소입니다. 감사합니다. Somi. I haven't seen Somi in such a long time. I mean, aside from a couple of social media posts, some instances where she's popped up here and there. But in all honesty, it's been since the 16 series. That's when I first saw Somi. And of course, she was close to making it through that series. Ultimately, she ends up with the Black Label, which is, I believe, a subsidiary label of YG. And so, it's quite interesting. Like, I've seen some of the things, but I haven't actually, I've just cursory overview type. I've never actually checked out any of her solo work, right? So I figure I'll go with something that seems to be well known enough, so it's something that I definitely should have seen by now. And it looked from what the YouTube page is indicating, there's like a lot of content that she's set to release pretty soon, actually. So hopefully I'll remember to come back and check that stuff out too. But yeah, I think it's long overdue to go ahead and give a listen to something from Somi. Always liked her. I liked her on 16. She seemed to be very cool. She's great friends with Chaeyoung, and actually a lot of idols. She seems to be pretty well known and well liked throughout the industry. So let's check out Dum Dum by Somi.
거울 앞에서 또 연습해 두 눈을 크게 떠 이런 표정을 난 좋아해 어떻게 하면 더 연약해 정초해 보일까 안 꾸민 듯 꾸며보곤 해 여자의 마음을 너무 몰라 널 Let me just say it 두려운 내 모습까지 감싸 안아줘 난 네 머리 꼭대기에서 춤춰 you dumb dumb
That's a change up.
난 네 머리 꼭대기에서 춤춰 you dumb dumb 마음까지 끌어떠는 내 숨결 이게 다 널 위한 거야 dumb 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 순수한 내 눈빛 보고 잔머리 굴리지 말고 let's play dumb 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 원래 많이 못 먹어요 양이 적어서 yeah 발은 절대 못 잡아요 너무 무서워 난 I ain't got time for that try to act the part and rewind it back over and over show's over take or leave it's make love or make believe 여자의 마음을 너무 몰라 널 Let me just say it now 두려운 내 모습까지 감싸 안아줘 난 네 머리 꼭대기에서 춤춰 you dumb dumb 난 네 머리 꼭대기에서 춤춰 you dumb dumb 마음까지 끌어떠는 내 숨결 이게 다 널 위한 거야 dumb 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 순수한 내 눈빛 보고 잔머리 굴리지 말고 let's play dumb dumb let's play dumb dumb let's play dumb 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 Hey dumb dumb 네가 사랑에 빠진 건 내게 왜 그래 dumb dumb Hey dumb dumb 이제 애쓰지 않아도 tell me that I'm the one Hey dumb dumb 네가 사랑에 빠진 건 내게 왜 그래 dumb dumb Hey dumb dumb 이제 애쓰지 않아도 머리 꼭대기에서 춤춰 you dumb dumb
So uh, quite a play on the sort of duality concept, right? It's very overtly these two sides of perhaps Somi's personality, and she is focused on, gaining the attention of this dude, right? Um, and it's quite funny. There's a little bit of a self-aware type of humor there. Um, it's kind of like saying, she's, in other words, she's got these two sides to her, and they're, they have their layers to them, like their depth and the inherent sort of complexity between these two sides. But in trying to connect, right, it's always like you get to the surface level and can't sort of resolve that tension that's there. um, it's interesting, and I kind of like, I think Somi being with the Black Label is good. Like, after seeing this, video and hearing this song or whatever, and seeing the sort of concept that's being worked with here, I like, it's probably a good place for her to have ended up in, if she wasn't going to end up, with JYP. I think it just feels right, right? Like, this feels like the right place for Somi. It's quite interesting. So there are these tonal shifts that are occurring between, like, the verse and then the chorus parts, right? It's a much lighter, brighter, sort of very organic sounding quality to the verse section. And there's, it starts off, is showing her more playful kitty side, right? Like this very sort of girly, young side to her personality, as with the the imagery of, like, the little girl who's in front of the mirror, and then cuts, the transition cut is there, and then it's Somi, and she's grown up and everything. And then once it gets to the it starts to ramp up. Actually, it's a pretty cool way that the sort of pre-chorus starts to, like, indicate the shift, right, that's coming. And then go, like, so in the verse you have the piano chords, and I believe it's like a stand-up bass type of sound, right? And then the whistling, it's extremely minimalist. It's kind of like it's very honest. The thing about it is, like, okay, there's no pretension. There's, like, it's kind of bare bones, but also not hiding anything either. Like, it's not trying to be too complicated. Like this is simple, right? Like, that one side of the duality is like, okay, this is straightforward and this is simple, and it's kind of silly, but that's just the way it is, right? And it's really well done with those instrument choices, right, for that, what's going on in the mix there. The pattern's very, like, staccato, very straightforward in 4, pretty tight, snaps on 2 and 4, to get your accent on those beats. Piano likes to hang out, really emphasizes the one, like the first beat of each measure, and then there's a nice little syncopated rhythm that comes along then in the pre-chorus section, where it starts to shift away a little bit from, like, that straight 4 count emphasis. And then once we go into the chorus section, and there's even a shift in her vocal tone and timbre also, right? Like, when it gets around to saying, I'm dancing on your head, you dumb, like, there's attitude all of a sudden. Like, there's this almost, it's a, like, a sort of a how would you say, kind of like feistiness, but very like reserved, very like it's kind of sarcastic, you know what I mean? Like it's funny, um, and but the tonals, even the visual goes like dark, like you know, you go from these bright blues and pinks and all that, and then all of a sudden it's like this a sort of dim purple that's going on, right? It's dark, it's purple. The light that you get is almost like neon, like it's got a completely different, you know, feel to it. And then that synth bass sound that comes around, it gets very bouncy and but also very like direct, very strong in its sound and its rhythm, you know, like it's like it's not playing around anymore. That it's kind of like that side of her personality is sort of like makes a decision about something. It's like, okay, this is what I want, right? And so it's interesting, but it's quite a cool little conceptual play on these dualities, right? Let's see. Man, my mouse skills are all over the place. Okay, let's see. Two, 4, 2, 4, 2. See how it drops out the third beat, right? At the way that phrase is structured, right? It goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 4. So there's a rest there. The piano doesn't actually hit the chord, and then you just have that snap. It's just a snap. It's not even like a snare hit or something, right? And then the whistle also, the sort of that little whistle lick that's going on, and so it's very straightforward. Like it's extremely minimalist, but everything sounds really nice. Like it's very bright. The production on it, you know, so light reverb, right? It's not like drenched or anything, but everything sounds very clean, right? It's got that clean, you know, very safe, kind of playful sort of quality to it. Right there, boom, 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 right? And that stand-up bass sound now, right? That's what that is. That's you know, boom, 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 and that little group of 3, right? That little 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3, 4. That is it's actually a very strong rhythmic change up, since everything is so minimalist and so bare bones and sort of straightforward up until this point, right? So this is the pre-chorus, and we have a change in the instrument selection, so that the feel of it immediately starts to get a different type of character going here. And that rhythmic shift, even though it's just another beat, it's just adding another beat in there, but because it comes kind of at the sort of the it's like the period on a sentence, or you know, the punctuation on a sentence, it's changing up the meaning of it a little bit with where it occurs every time in these phrases, right? As this sort of pre-chorus section is going through its chord progression here, and it's a strong indicator that things are about to change.
Let me just say it now. 두려운 내 모습까지 감싸줘. 난 네 머리 꼭대기에서 춤춰, you dumb dumb.
So she was sang actually in a very, you know, nice, smooth, melodic way, all the way up until some of these ascending lines, right, in the pre-chorus. And this, it all happens, it's very neat. It's very, very neat the way this is done, because she totally shifts her delivery here. all of a sudden it's almost like that talk singing, you know what I mean? And she's sort of, she's really kind of speaking and just trying to stay down in the lower range of the voice, right? Like it's very sarcastic. It's almost like dry wit, right? Like it's very clever actually, and a complete shift tonally, everything. See these blues, dark blues and purples. So this type of bass sound, you know what I mean? Like this very synth electronic type of sound, and it's actually much less, I mean it's much more connected. Like it's not just detached staccato type of sound now, right? All these rhythmic durations, right? It's much more connected. Like it has this very strong flow, right, connected to it now. Even that little whistle arpeggio sort of shifts its quality a little bit, but also takes on a sort of like synthy ocarina type of sound. But the overall effect is it's a little bit more sophisticated, you know. So going from like a piano snap, and just see, it's playful. It's just like casual, very casual, and then the piano chords along with the sort of stand-up bass, it's almost like, okay, a little bit more practiced, a little bit more like we're moving in a direction here. We're sort of, it's not so casual anymore, and then all of a sudden it jumps into something that's like definitely more sophisticated. So something that like it's not really trying to be casual. It's trying to be something very definite. Like if it's trying to sort of establish itself in a far less ambiguous type of manner. And even her appearance, right, it goes from this casual t-shirt and jeans, you know, type of thing to, oh, now she's got like this outfit on, and you know, the sort of like that almost leathery, like shiny, sort of pleathery type of fit, and the sparkly, you know, top and everything. Like it's suggesting something a little bit more mature, is the point, really. But the sound actually accompanies that very well, and it does a really good job of shifting, right? The contrast between these sections is, for it being like so minimal, it's actually quite rich once you have the contrast there.
Got time for that. Try to act the part and rewind it back over and over. Show's over. Take a lead. It's make love or make believe.
That was very almost Blackpinkish, right? Like it had the flow, you know, that rap part, you know, is she is going back to that, you know, same sort of delivery, right? It's like the dum dum line at the sort of the end of that pre-chorus section, but it shifted there tonally a great deal also, right? It took on this almost a completely different style, essentially, right? It switched from this warm, sort of bright type of light, you know, song structure to something very hip-hop oriented, you know, with the bass sound and the percussion, and then of course her rap delivery on it. A very deliberate but smartly, you know, incorporated stylistic change up real quick, just almost like a third side. Then if the main concept is essentially this duality, it's almost like she's saying, well, actually there's another side too, but you know, maybe you'll find out about that later. Cause, like it's another sort of more milder type of a suggestion of something else. Because essentially you could call it neutral. If you got like one side and the other side, it's kind of like the in between. It's something that could occupy either space, but kind of prefers to be on its own.
여자의 마음을 너무 몰라 널. Let me just say it now. 두려운 내 모습까지 감싸 안아줘. 난 네 머리 꼭대기에서 춤춰 you dumb dumb.
So actually, dun 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 dun. So very melodic minor. I think like that's what I'm getting anyways. That without completely shifting qualities there, but I think it feels something like melodic minor. It's not harmonic minor, but I think it feels like it sounds too major on the way up. So, you know, that's what it feels like anyways. But it's very cool. I feel like this is a cool shift. Yeah, much more. The rhythm is much more sort of substantial, right? It's much more intensive. Percussion work. Like there's actual kit sounds now, you know. All of these things are just give it this more sophisticated type of quality, and she's, you know, she's rocking the red dress and like this is. She's almost saying like I have this young sort of kiddie playful side, and then I have this other side of me too that's like a little bit more grown, and so, you know, I kind of go back and forth between the two, but essentially. She has like something that she's very much focused on. Very concise breakdown. These shots. So you know, sometimes there's just the shots, right? That's why these little sequences here at the end are fun. As she's holding that newspaper, she's like, "Okay, it's burning now." You know what I mean? Like, but she's fun, man. She's cool. Somi is she's very cool, man. As I always liked her in the 16 series. You know, she seemed like, okay, she's very cool. She's very, you know, I can see why she's good friends with Chaeyoung, because they kind of have very complementary personalities. You know, although, because Chaeyoung she definitely has a duality to her, but she doesn't put the expression of it like at the forefront, really. She just it's real, sort of organic and sort of effortless with her. It just happens when it happens. Somi's really taking it on as the main concept for this song, though. But I think it's a great example of one of those songs that, even though it's rather minimalist, it accomplishes a great deal with all of the elements that are present. Like, it's got a wonderful build up. The two sort of sides that contrast each other from between like the verse and the chorus, they're very well done. It's like, you know, the verse part being it's so clean. It's super clean, and you know, it doesn't. in other words, you have to approach that a certain way. This song structure has to be done like a certain way in order to make this work. If the verse section was any less clean, if it was any less straightforward, or even more, it's going to throw it off, because it's either not going to be substantial enough, or it's going to be too close to what the chorus section is, and the contrast is going to be somewhat diluted, not diluted, but diluted. It's going to be weaker, in other words. And the chorus section, likewise, it takes a fine balance. These things have to be very carefully considered in order to make this work. This suggestion of these complementary aspects of a duality here, but the overall effect ends up, like, the payoff is there. It's very, very cool. It's very, very it's a bit mysterious, but it's also very fun. It's very enjoyable when that shift occurs from one side to the other, and it's not trying to surprise you. That's not what she has no interest in playing games, really. It's very straightforward. When the change is coming. It's indicated throughout. It actually starts setting it up right at the beginning. The intro into the first verse, and then that pre-chorus when the little rhythmic shift comes along, and you get like that one additional beat in there. That's extremely valuable in a compositional sense, in terms of like the song structure. It's extremely important for those couple of phrases that occur in the pre-chorus, because it all works up to and indicates and then initiates the actual change in the chorus section. And that's the big payoff for this song. That's what you're waiting for. It's sort of like it's really all hooks. Like the mix, because it's so minimalist, right? The mix from bottom to top is and then you get a whole hook in your verse section, and then a whole hook in your chorus section. I mean, from top to bottom, bottom to top, and it's all because of that song structure. It is a bit humorous, and it's like a very, very well written joke. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to say the song is a joke, though there is an element of humor. What I'm saying is that the way you would carefully and deliberately structure a joke, right, to have like the absolute necessary elements there in order to make it work, right, in order to have like that punchline be impactful, right? The same sort of mechanism is at play in the overall composition of this song. It's very, very deliberate, and it has to be from the introduction, the very beginning, all the way through. And you can see it coming. You can see it you know it's coming, and then it actually does hit, but it pays off. Like, it works very, very well. It's a very cool song. Somi sounds, her voice is actually quite enjoyable. Like the sung portion, you know what I mean? I think she does a great job on the rap lyrics as well. She has a nice delivery. Her overall flow and everything is like, it's very, very, she's very comfortable. She's like, it's something she's quite capable of doing in her own stylistic application, right? But her singing voice it's wonderful to hear. It's really pleasant to hear, and I haven't heard it in forever. The last time I watched 16, was when I really got like a significant dose of it. And I think I saw maybe one video or two that I watched where she was on a variety show, and she demonstrated a couple of things about vocal work and everything. because I think she auditioned for all three companies, if I'm not mistaken. I think she went for SM, JYP, and YG. But other than that, I was like, it's been forever since I've actually heard Somi sing, and but she's great, man. I love Somi's voice. It's even on 16, I thought, oh man, she's got a wonderful singing voice for sure. It was fun. This is fun. This is another fun video. I think it's interesting, right? This solo idol artist, and it's man. Okay, so it's different. It has its own feel, but of course, that's gonna happen. They have so much more space for these ideas and these expressions and everything. But Somi she's very good. She's so capable. She's so talented, man. And this was a fun song, man. Dum Dum. It's interesting. There's something very authentic about it. Like, it's very straightforward. It's very honest, and it really matches her personality and her style. Like, it's very, very her. It's like, it's very Somi for sure. But it's fun. It's fun. Man. See, I gotta check out so much more. You know what I mean? That's the thing. It's just like I get very intrigued about what else there is to check out and listen to and everything, because it's just it's been a while. I haven't really experienced Somi's career work proper yet. I'm limited mainly to the 16 series, but no more with Dum Dum. It was a good time. It was good.